Running never was planned. Running happened.
Coach would say, well, you know, you're not supposed to do that.
You gotta be kidding me.
Some of the things I did on the field, I don't know how I did them.
Pro football is a specialized game. It seems every position has an additional subcategory.
Base, base, base. Tiger, Brad, tiger!
There's cover corners, blocking tight ends, and possession receivers. There are quarterbacks who stay in the pocket at their own peril, while others move around. And when it comes to the more nimble quarterbacks, there's no shortage of opinions.
Running quarterback is a run-first guy, and I think at the NFL level, they have to learn to get out of that mode.
Scrambling quarterback is a guy that runs around hysterical.
Can't find anybody, running around for dear life.
Some run for yardage, others leave the pocket to buy time. But ranking the NFL's top mobile quarterbacks is like determining the best flavor of ice cream. It's simply a matter of taste. So who are the best mobile quarterbacks of all time? It's a hard concept to define, but you know them when you see them.
My definition of a mobile quarterback is one who can get out of the way.
The number 10 mobile quarterback of all time, Donovan McNabb.
McNabb, he's going to run! He's going to duck. He cuts. He dives. Touchdown, Eagles!
He's a frustration as a mobile quarterback to us because from the day he walked in, he made it clear that he didn't want to be a running quarterback. He wanted to be a quarterback. And he said it repeatedly.
As the years go by, McNabb runs less and less.
That is a play that only McNabb can make.
So why would a guy with great wheels just put himself in park?
I do believe that Donovan has made a conscious decision to not run, to stay in the pocket.
Not because he doesn't want to run.
Pumping, diving, he's in for the touchdown!
Because the way to play that position is to pass the ball.
At the end of the day, you have to be able to throw the ball from the pocket. Donovan McNabb has learned over time to do that.
Hey, how you move like that to be so big?
We almost sensed the racial component to it. He didn't want to be identified as a guy who had great athletic talent.
Donovan McNabb doing it on his own.
He wanted to be known as a great quarterback, period.
Another laser by Donovan McNabb.
You can't name 5 quarterbacks that you would rather have in the entire National Football League than Donovan McNabb.
You run too much, you're going to get killed. In the NFL, as tough as players, as physical as the game is, you're going to be hurt every year.
He gets away from one man. Still rolling. Comes back to the near side. A la Randall Cunningham against Buffalo. Loading up. He is firing it deep. And it is caught by Freddie Mitchell.
Donovan McNabb, especially in the city of Philadelphia, takes way too much heat.
The Philadelphia Eagles select Donovan McNabb, quarterback, Syracuse University.
You can't name 5 quarterbacks that you would rather have.
Caught for a touchdown.
It's a McNabulous night.
Our number 10 mobile quarterback of all time enjoys almost universal respect and admiration, just not in his own town.
And look, he turned into a great quarterback. But we even think now that he would have been greater if he wanted to run more.
Boy, is he fun to watch.
Of course, then he gets hurt and we complain that he got hurt. That's what's great about being in Philadelphia. We've always got a second guess for you, all the time.
The number 9 mobile quarterback of all time, Doug Flutie.
The average American male is a shade under 5'10", so is Doug Flutie. But there was nothing average about the way he played quarterback.
Naked bootleg left. Flutie left the running room. Touchdown! Touchdown!
He was held back by the whole size issue. General managers, coaches, executives in the business that just felt, Doug's too small.
He like a little leaguer.
In the land of Goliaths, Doug Flutie, 5'8" maybe.
Every time Doug Flutie took the field, he had the motivation in the back of his mind, I'm going to show everybody.
Carried an enormous chip on his shoulder.
He is a shrimp.
But it didn't weigh him down, it just made him better.
Some quarterbacks are mobile by choice, but Flutie scrambled out of necessity.
It's like a species. He had to adapt to the environment, and he did. Wherever it took, a jump pass, a hook pass, a shovel pass. Think about anybody who made more great plays out of nothing than Doug Flutie.
I mean, there were times when he would get outside the pocket and he would keep moving. There were times he would get outside, he would stop, and he would throw the ball down the field.
Flutie waiting, dropping back, wants to throw, can't find anybody. Now runs right, looks, throws, and it is caught for the touchdown.
If you're going to have Doug Flutie, you have to turn the show over to Doug Flutie.
Come on, Flute. Come on, Flute. Come on, Flute.
And if you don't do that, there's no point in having him. There was no point in having Doug Flutie if you're going to try to make him a conventional quarterback.
Rolling right, looking end zone, escapes a sack, has it, running, goes in, touchdown!
Oh, look at the little guy go.
Flutie moved around on the field and on the map. Our ninth most mobile quarterback played for 4 NFL franchises, 3 CFL clubs, and a USFL team. His best shot at glory in the NFL came with the Buffalo Bills in 1999.
Come on, Doug! Come on, Doug! Come on, Doug!
He led them to a 10-5 record, but was benched before the playoffs.
Can you believe it?
He just had this kind of gift of a season with Flutie Flakes, a couple nice comeback wins that year.
Here's Flutie rolling out, and he is in for the touchdown. The Bills have won it.
Oh, Flutie, we love you. Go team.
It was the same old story. In Rob Johnson, you have a Southern California kid who's 6'5", 217. He fit the suit. Doug never fit the suit.
The Bills lost their magic and were eliminated by a miracle.
He's got it! End zone! It's a miracle!
Attention all shoppers.
Doug Flutie was always mobile.
We'd just like to thank you. That would be a thank you.
And occasionally versatile.
Not a single person would have even had it in his head to ever practice drop kicking, let alone to actually have the guts to try it in an NFL game.
He's going to kick it, and he drop kicks it up and through. How about that?
Everybody has always figured, too short, too small, can't play. He always finds a way to win.
This place has gone icky-palookie.
Plenty of quarterbacks through the years had nifty moves, but not all of them were quick enough to make our list.
And you had a guy in the mid-50s named Tobin Rote who played for the Packers who set records, one of which survived until Michael Vick broke it a couple of years ago, most rushing yards for a quarterback in a game.
Rote's contemporary was Otto Graham, whose first name is a palindrome. Steve McNair's career began in the Astrodome.
McNair breaks a tackle. Touchdown! Titans!
In 2006, Vince Young became the sprinter on Tennessee's track team.
Vince Young did not get to the Pro Bowl and go 8-5 because of his passing arm.
10-5! It's up! Titans win!
Tim Tebow ran a successful spread option in Denver before getting run out of town.
I'm so honored and humble to be a Jet.
But it is another fleet-footed lefty that is next on our list.
The number 8 mobile quarterback of all time, Jim Zorn.
Now, you're not going to show any of those things, are you? You know, what's going on around here?
Show your stuff and drink milk.
Show your stuff and drink milk. You'll get lots of da-da-da-da-da, and it goes like that.
He has lots of calcium, protein, and vitamins.
Jim Zorn drank his milk, and his scrambling did the Seahawks good. Seattle was an expansion team in the 70s, and our number 8 quarterback was their starter from day one.
He was more a scrambler. He ran selectively. He never rushed for more than 290 yards in any season.
The team had limited talent, but Zorn's creativity was boundless.
All the things he could do beyond the description of the typical quarterback were things that the Seahawks needed at that time.
I smell something here. It's too early to kick that long.
Zorn was a perfect quarterback for an expansion team.
Throws the ball deep down the right side, large and wide open at the 10. He's got it. Touchdown, Seahawks.
He could hurt you with more than just a singing voice, and his mercurial personality mirrored his play.
Here's a guy who's starting quarterback, making pretty good money in the National Football League.
Get out of the way.
And he drove this bug. And he'd get out of the car and just walk into the stadium with the fans. He was perfect for the offense. He was perfect for this city. He was a real breath of fresh air.
Jim was the first star, if you will, of the Seahawks team. He's very creative. He's very artistic. The side of him that came out on scramble-type plays was the real Jim Zorn.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
When kind of the formality of the play broke down, that's when the originality of Jim Zorn really came out.
Those were glory times. There wasn't a better feeling in the world.
In our countdown thus far, we've seen quarterbacks who can outrun some defensive backs. But can you be a mobile quarterback if your 40 time starts with a 5?
Like watching a slow lumber wagon.
Tell him to run faster.
You're slow!
It begs the question, can a quarterback be slow and mobile?
I think people's perception of mobility over time is translated into spectacular plays made with your feet.
Nobody's going to catch him!
The definition of mobility for a quarterback is the ability to move within the pocket. 1 step to the left.
2 or 3 steps laterally. 2 steps here, 3 steps there.
This definition of mobility could include some lumbering legends, according to one legendary head coach.
Joe Willie Namath, an absolute artist. It was almost sensuous in his movement, or artistic, like a ballet dancer. I'd have to say he had the greatest feet of any quarterback ever to play, and it was just wondrous to watch this man move.
Who? This man?
I wouldn't call Montana a running quarterback, but I'd certainly call him a mobile quarterback.
He's so quick and nimble on his feet and instinctively can avoid people and concentrate down the field.
For an NFL quarterback, a 40 time is meaningless because the game is not played running a 40-yard dash.
The number 7 mobile quarterback of all time, Dan Marino.
Dan Marino might be the world's slowest quarterback, but he was not the world's slowest mammal. At least 3 other Dolphins couldn't keep up.
Could you name 3 teammates, past and present, that you could beat in a foot race?
Oh, yeah, Bernie Kosar, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I could beat Bernie.
Kevin Gogan?
Kevin Gogan would, yeah. Played with Jaworski, too, once. Yeah. I got to beat him in the foot race.
Wow! That kind of speed should be illegal.
With legs like Bednarik, but feet like Baryshnikov, our number 7 mobile quarterback was not a unanimous choice.
Dan Marino is a brilliantly mobile quarterback.
You certainly could not classify Dan Marino as a mobile quarterback.
He is a mobile quarterback in the ability to move, reset his feet, and make a play.
Let's go, man. Give me some time to throw a 5-yard out.
I went down to interview him at his home. My first question was, Dan, what do you attribute your great arm? And he said, my feet.
Sure, you do.
Really?
You have to have great feet.
Set hut!
He was very similar to Joe Namath in that regard. Put him in a confined area. Could slide and have great mobility.
Quickest release in the NFL history, perhaps, and everybody talks about the release, but Dan Marino was all about his feet.
He could adjust a few inches where some monster had his hands up and throw between his hands. He had a sense of how to get the ball where he wanted it.
Marino under pressure. He fires in the end zone. Touchdown!
Watching Marino in the pocket was like watching a great matador. With just a little bend to the waist, a jab step forward, a step back, he could avoid the horns. When you think of elusive quarterbacks, a quarterback that is difficult to sack, Marino might be one of the most elusive quarterbacks ever.
What a joy it has been to watch that man play football.
The number 6 mobile quarterback of all time, Roger Staubach.
Roger Staubach was a clean-cut guy who played fast and loose, and that didn't sit well with his head coach, Tom Landry.
He didn't like a running quarterback. He didn't think that was what a quarterback did.
Landry wanted a true, drop-back quarterback, but that wasn't Roger Staubach.
And sometimes I just ran because I knew I could get the first down.
See what Staubach has up his sleeve on 3rd and 3.
I would tell him that, but he'd say, well, you're not supposed to do that.
In Staubach's second season, the Cowboys couldn't decide between drop-back passer Craig Morton, number 14, and Roger the Dodger.
Roger the Dodger's doing his thing, scrambling.
At first, they alternated starts. By mid-season, they were alternating plays.
And, Craig and I kind of looked at each other and said, I just hear, who was that? It was not one of Coach Landry's great moments.
One would come out, one would go in.
We get to play, and it's like two ships passing in the night.
Talk about a mobile quarterback.
He made a decision. He came in the next week. He said, my starting quarterback's going to be Roger Staubach.
Staubach drops back to pass. That's up. Pass to end zone. Touchdown! It's the hammer, Mike Ditka.
With our number 6 quarterback as the number 1 guy, Dallas didn't lose another game that year.
Rodgers' reckless style made him a high-risk quarterback, someone who sacrificed his body for 6 points.
Before, when he was younger, he would scramble he'd get away from trouble, and then he'd try to run over a linebacker or something. He got to where he was just still scrambling just as much, but he usually ended up trying to find somebody open and throwing it.
He had the ability to make people miss, move around.
All of a sudden, it looked like somebody was getting ready to hit him, and boom, he would be going the other way.
He had athletic ability. He had running ability. He was a playmaker. He had a big heart, big leader. He did whatever he had to do to win.
He runs, he dives, he drives. Touchdown, Cowboys win!
And I don't think Coach Landry ever really liked scrambling quarterbacks. But after he saw Roger do it for about 7 or 8 years, I think he understood.
When we finally won the Super Bowl, I think he bought into me.
Before we continue our countdown, let's recap the list so far.
Number 10, Donovan McNabb is hard to mix sack.
Another laser by Donovan McNabb.
Number 9, Doug Flutie ran under the radar.
He is a shrimp.
Number 8, Jim Zorn led many successful drives.
Get out of the way.
Number 7, Dan Marino never moved far, but he moved well. Number 6, it was cowboy magic when this man ran.
See what Staubach has up his sleeve.
All of a sudden, it looked like somebody was getting ready to hit him, and boom, he would be going the other way.
The number 5 mobile quarterback of all time, Bobby Douglas.
Bobby has the physique of a tight end, the instincts of a running back, a rifle arm, plus good speed. And if you believe it's easy to bring him down, try it.
If the island of misfit toys had a team, Bobby Douglas would have been under center. He was a football player who just happened to play quarterback.
Every time Bobby came to camp, he said, well, maybe he should be a running back. Oh, no, let's make him a linebacker. Let's make him a tight end.
Could have played tight end. Could have played running back. I mean, I could have had a career as a tight end probably for 15 years.
Douglas bruised opponents on runs, but rarely beat them with his arm.
He could deliver punishment. He was that big. But as a passer,
you would hope that he would throw the ball because it was likely that he might throw it to you.
He just was not an accurate passer. Abe Gibron, his coach, at a press conference said, well, you know, he could throw the ball through a barn door if he could hit a barn door.
He wanted to run. Our coaches wanted him to run.
This was a guy that ran like Larry Zonk.
He was as big as our defensive lineman.
You didn't see anybody that really wanted to tackle him. He was a heck of a ball carrier.
I remember sitting on the sidelines. Bobby's dancing around, and then I hear from Abe Gibron, run, you donkey, run!
Douglas! Douglas!
I became the offense.
He was a runner in the quarterback position.
In 1972, Douglas set a record with 968 rushing yards, and if someone had made a fuss, he might have been the first quarterback to break the 1,000-yard barrier.
A month later, I said, well, why in the hell didn't they tell us that I was close? I know Abe would have wanted to do it. So, of course, the thing he told me, he says, hey, don't worry about it. You'll have 1,200, 1,300 yards next year. So, in the meantime, Abe lost his job and wasn't around.
The number 4 mobile quarterback of all time, Michael Vick.
He is probably the most polarizing player in the National Football League.
Bobby Douglas wasn't the first mobile quarterback to be criticized for his passing, and Michael Vick won't be the last.
Week in and week out, he's worth the ticket price. Man, he makes me nervous.
The Michael Vick track record has been, so mixed at this point.
One of the worst things that happened to Michael Vick was the early Michael Vick.
Lightning in the bottle, that's what he is.
The guy who was the miracle worker, the guy that was Houdini and cleats.
That was the magician making magic again.
Because once he established that, then everybody got so focused on that, including Michael Vick, that the other aspect of being a quarterback kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Running quarterbacks are really a function of our highlight-obsessed society. Michael Vick runs for 40 yards. We see that play. When it's 3rd and 7, Michael Vick doesn't convert those plays, but he can run for 40 yards twice in a game.
Take out Michael Vick today.
In 2006, Vick was linked with Bobby Douglas again by doing what Douglas could not, rushing for over 1,000 yards in a season.
He had to run like he was going to get the laundry on that one. The incomparable Mike Vick.
We have never had, at that position, a quarterback with his kind of speed.
I don't know of anybody that ever played the game that at the quarterback position was the fastest player on the field.
The fastest human being I've ever seen on a football field, bar none.
He had 2 guys going like this. And he just...
The runs, oh man, it's just working off feel. That's my favorite play right here of the season. I was able to make one guy miss. That was like the highlight move of my career because I don't know where that came from.
In trouble, dances away. He'll have the first down and more.
Shot him a move and it was over.
Hey, Mike, the spin was a great addition. Coming near side, keeping the football. 40, 35, 30, 25, 15, 10. Go, Mike Vick. This is over. It's over. Yes.
After serving 2 years in prison, Michael Vick returned to the NFL as an unknown commodity. Turns out the second version of Vick was better than the first.
I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they had like a flag football league in the pen, but he got way better after he went away than before he did.
Vick found him and throws strike.
Whenever you watched Michael Vick when he was with the Falcons, you always wondered, boy, if this guy could learn to play quarterback the right way, what kind of weapon would he be? The Eagles taught him how to play quarterback.
What really makes Vick's rebound with the Eagles so striking was he was awful his first year there. He was nowhere near the same Michael Vick. He had lost his speed. And that maybe is the best thing that ever happened to him, because while he's getting back his speed, he has to learn to be a passer.
Back to front, Selleck in a crowd!
How do you thread the needle that tight? In 2010, Vick completed a career-high 62% of his passes and topped 3,000 yards passing for the first time in his career.
Mike Vick 2.0 was awesome, just awesome.
In the first version, yeah, of course he was mobile, but that's all he did. This guy, the new version, is mobile and he can play.
Now here's some more quarterbacks who were on the outside looking in at our top 10 countdown. Steve Grogan had 12 rushing touchdowns in a season, a record for quarterbacks. Brett Favre's scrambling is as unpredictable as his retirement date.
He flipped it into the end zone, backhand.
John Elway changed his game and earned 2 rings.
He became more of a guy that would scramble to get somebody open, more so than just running the football.
Slash was his nickname, and running was Cordell Stewart's game.
And he just turned on the jets and collapses in great celebration.
Football's first father, Archie Manning, ran out of necessity on some dreadful Saints teams. His sons inherited his arm, but not his legs.
You don't run away from guys in this league.
The number 3 mobile quarterback of all time, Randall Cunningham.
Great ability as an athlete.
He's leaping. He's diving. He's there.
Some people think that's offensive to players. That he was a great athlete.
I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback who had as much basic physical talent as Randall Cunningham.
You know, when I first saw Randall, our first minicamp, I thought this guy would be the greatest quarterback of all time. I really did. He had that kind of talent.
We were in Buffalo, and I said, I know Bruce Smith is coming. At the split second I needed to, I ducked, and he went over me. I said, whoa.
He ducks under 3 men. He's looking. He's rolling. He's heaving it deep downfield for Barnett, who leaps and has it at the 40. Barnett's going to score!
Some of the things I did on the field, I don't know how I did them.
If you wanted a highlight film every week of Randall Cunningham, you could have it. Win or lose, you could have it. And I think there was too many times he got caught up in that.
People call me and they always say, why do you think you can fly? I said, I'm an eagle.
In Randall Cunningham's second year, defensive guru Buddy Ryan took over, but he didn't pay much attention to Randall's side of the ball.
Buddy's orders to Randall was run first, throw second.
Here I am going through trying to learn plays, and then all of a sudden, Buddy Ryan comes in and is like, I want you to be faster than you even are now. And so he trained me like I was a racehorse. He developed me to be a running quarterback, not just a scrambling quarterback.
He's starting to run. He's going to run with the football. Now he's running. And we are looking at Rambling Randall once again.
You know, the old philosophy, you keep somebody in the spy, but the spy guy couldn't catch him anyway.
It was almost like he was made of rubber.
The guy had a body like Gumby. The thing could bend in any direction.
Faking, now rolling with the football and being flattened at the 10, but throwing the ball to Groves for a touchdown. I don't know how he did it. I think we're looking at Plastic Man.
You know, I could have had probably another 15 sacks on my career total if it wasn't for that doggone guy.
Man, I keep beating this guy, and Randall still runs out around. He gets wide. I don't understand it.
All right, tell me what you got.
Later in his career, our number 3 all-time mobile quarterback stopped running, got coaching, and led the Vikings to within a field goal of the Super Bowl.
I think we're seeing a real coming out party here in this first game.
Randall Cunningham had one of the all-time seasons with one of the all-time surrounding casts.
Fires it deep downfield. Touchdown, Vikings!
The Randall Cunningham that went to Minnesota, had that Randall Cunningham been in Philly Philly would have probably won a couple of Super Bowls.
I had to get rid of the selfishness, and I had to become a team player. I remember telling Brian Billick, he'd say, "What play do you want to run?" I said, "Coach, whatever you have."
In his career, Randall passed for more touchdowns than Troy Aikman and more yards than Terry Bradshaw. But whether it's McNabb or Cunningham, the Philadelphia story is always full of regret.
Was he fun to watch? Was he dynamic? Was he spectacular at times? Certainly. But over the long haul, he never truly mastered the position from the pocket.
And I guess the tragedy for people that watched him every day in Philadelphia was, with a different coach, an offensive-minded coach, what might have been?
A 53-yard run.
Was it his fault? Was it the coach's fault? That'll be a debate we never really end here.
So far, we've seen 3 players in this countdown who can be categorized as pure running quarterbacks: Bobby Douglas, Michael Vick, and Randall Cunningham. And none of them have won a Super Bowl. Is that a coincidence, or is there a correlation between running and not winning at all?
Every few years, a phenomenal athlete with a big arm comes out, whether it's Vince Young, Michael Vick. And everybody goes, this is the new guy right here. We got to find this guy because he can elude the rush, he can do this, he can do that. But the reality is, sooner or later, that quarterback has to learn to beat you with his arm.
So the question remains, can you win a Super Bowl with a quarterback whose legs are more feared than his arm?
A mobile quarterback can do it. We've just never seen a generation of mobile quarterback like a Michael Vick.
I've never seen a run-first quarterback win a Super Bowl. And in my lifetime, I don't expect to see one.
The number 2 mobile quarterback of all time, Steve Young.
The perception was that Steve Young was this wild maverick, young horse that they didn't know how to tame.
Steve Young's career began with an NFL laughingstock and ended up on a flagship franchise.
He was with dreadful teams, really wasted, and coming out of Tampa Bay to anywhere else, he might have gone on to been just a blip on the NFL scene.
Can you imagine that Tampa had him there, looked at him, and sent him off to San Francisco?
When Bill Walsh looked at Steve Young, he said, here's somebody who is unlike any other quarterback I've ever seen.
Blaming on the Buffalo, the dance of love.
No one questioned the ability of our number 2 all-time mobile quarterback, but they did question his sanity.
Oh, what a play! What a play by Steve Young!
He was Fran Tarkington with speed. Steve's mentality was, I can run without my helmet.
I remember people watching him run with the ball and being like, "Ooh, you hope this isn't going to be, the hit that does him in."
And if I was your mother, I'd tell you to get out of football.
Steve Young is hurt. Oh my, is he ever?
When he ran and opened himself up to linebackers, it was not pretty.
Holy cow, somebody's got some flesh on the bottom of their cleats. Blue 85!
Before he was a Pro Bowler, Steve Young was an athlete playing quarterback.
He was such a running quarterback that there were actually people who wanted to convert him to a full-time running back.
It didn't seem like that much of a stretch. He was that good at it.
People look at Steve Young and he's this polished, well-coiffed lawyer. He has a law degree, he speaks well, he wears a suit, but he's a great athlete.
Young, one of the courageous games I've ever seen in a pro football player's career. To get the winning score is just the stuff of legend. What a play by Steve Young. Dives into the goal line. Touchdown. One man to get by. Carries him into the end zone.
Steve Young's run against the Vikings, in my mind, is the greatest run in the history of the game.
There's almost no way to describe it other than to see it or listen to Lon Simmons' radio call.
In trouble. He's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again, to the 35, cuts back at the 30, to the 20, the 50, the 10, he died, touchdown 49ers.
It was a heroic expression of a man's will.
Remarkable, athletic, competitive feat.
It won the game. They wouldn't have made the playoffs. They wouldn't have gotten to the Super Bowl, which they won. That's why, to me, it's the greatest individual athletic effort in the 80-year history of the National Football League.
As Young got older, his game matured.
He did evolve. He did. If you watch the games from the 80s into the mid-90s.
And Steve Young would tell you that himself, that Steve Young became a great quarterback when he truly understood, that the ball had to be in other people's hands.
I don't think Jerry liked it when he ran.
Damn, I'm sorry about that one, bro.
Because that meant Jerry wasn't getting the ball.
I like my boys happy. I like my boys happy.
I don't think he has anything to prove anymore.
Steve, let's go!
Steve Young, the consummate package. He could kill you throwing the football. He could kill you with his legs. He could kill you with his intelligence.
Steve Young began as a running quarterback, then became a scrambling quarterback, and eventually retired as a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
If you look at his body of work, he gained more yards than Mercury Morris. He scored more touchdowns rushing than Gale Sayers. He passed for more touchdowns than Terry Bradshaw. Steve Young, to me, is one of the great athletes ever to play the game.
And no one can ever take it away from us, ever!
The number one mobile quarterback of all time, Fran Tarkenton.
We are talking top 10 mobile quarterbacks, and as you might imagine, you might be on that list.
Yeah, I might be.
Might even be.
I might be on that list, huh? Yeah.
Some say Fran Tarkenton invented scrambling.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I invented it.
Okay, then he perfected it.
Sets up, scrambles around. Look, he can't find anybody. Tarkenton had him running this way and that way. Oh, brother.
But like most innovators, he was initially ridiculed.
Birds on the run, downfield.
Michael Vick today gets a lot of praise for his running.
Mike Vick faking out everybody.
I didn't.
He ran all over the field being pursued.
I scrambled, which was a terrible thing for a quarterback to do. How could you not stay in the pocket all the time? And they couldn't see how this freak could come and play.
I was a freak.
Nowhere to run to.
It was entertaining, but it drove the establishment crazy.
What else can this young man do?
Our number one mobile quarterback of all time brought scrambling into the mainstream. And he earned the number one ranking because of this startling fact. When he retired, Tarkenton was the leading passer and leading rusher among quarterbacks.
Many people have asked me how I got started scrambling.
He didn't have that much yards rushing for as much as he scrambled. He would scramble behind the line, go deeper, deeper. He was keeping the play alive.
He was looking for a place to beat you by getting the ball down the field, and he did it an awful lot.
He didn't have the greatest arm, and I think that's reason to admire him more, because he was able to do things with his mobility that made him a more effective quarterback than he might have been if he was just a pocket passer.
When you block for Fran Tarkenton, you really have to be on the go, because when Fran passes you, he'll probably be back again.
By this time, defensive linemen have lost 5 pounds, the defensive backs have added a half-dozen gray hairs, and Coach Norm Van Brocklin may be sprouting an ulcer.
Francis was unbelievable. He'd drive you nuts, drive the defense nuts.
You try to find Fran Tarkenton, it's like he fell into a hole, and you don't know where he was. He'd do everything. I've seen him throw passes that look like a basketball, just throw them up in the air, and you couldn't nail him.
Deacon Jones and Merlin Olsen and those people, they didn't like that.
I always hated Tarkenton. I really did. I mean, that little wimp would run around out there for hours and hours and hours.
He's one man that we tried desperately to end his career. We tried desperately to get rid of him. Because on a hot day in the Coliseum, chasing Fran Tarkenton is not what you wanted to do.
Whenever I step on the football field, I'm susceptible to injury.
I was 6 feet tall and weighed 190 pounds. Gino Marchetti, greatest defensive lineman ever played. He says this kid won't last a year because they'll kill him.
Fortunately for Francis and the Giants, he is durable and sturdy and always bounces back.
But the little engine that scrambled survived for 18 seasons and didn't miss a game for the first 14 of them. He came, he played, and he conquered every meaningful quarterback record. If you add his rushing and passing totals, he moved the ball nearly 29 miles in his career.
When I finished my career, I had rushed for more yards than any quarterback that ever played. But what that overshadowed, that I broke every passing record.
That's what people forget. They see these pictures of Francis Tarkington running around the field and scrambling and big guys falling down.
I also threw for more yards, for more touchdowns, and more completions than anybody that had ever played, including my hero, John Unitas.
First and goal from the 7. Fran rolls to the right, dumps it out, caught by Morgan, touchdown! Fran Tarkington's record-breaking 291st career touchdown pass.
He was ahead of his time. He'd be drafted high today.
Fran Tarkington was a Hall of Famer and a trailblazer. He won an MVP and some big games, but not the biggest game.
He loses a Super Bowl to the Miami Dolphins in the early 70s. He loses a Super Bowl to the Steelers. I don't know that you can downgrade a guy for losing to teams like that.
They were waiting for him, but they just couldn't put him down.
Fran Tarkington created this myth that a scrambling quarterback couldn't win. Because he runs around and makes plays, he can't get it done. Well, that's not really true. Quarterbacks don't win championships. Teams win championships.
The man who started a trend now ends our countdown as the #1 mobile quarterback of all time. But everyone on our list had a style of their own, and all had reason to be counted among the best of this exhilarating breed of quarterback.